Are we winning? Are we gaining traction? Are we having success? Whatever the language that you use with your staff, that was the conversation I had with my staff this morning. As we were like on Monday, it's like, hey, as we recalibrate of what we're building and why we're building it, are we winning? You know, so one of the things that we're really excited to talk to our staff about is for each of our staff to have some shared equity, some ownership in Alluring Glass and what that might look like. And, you know, the intention is for each of the guys to have an asset that they can actually be excited about developing so they can own something, right? And build that asset and make it more valuable, like your house, like you hope to make your house more valuable, right? That if you ever, when you sell it, that it's appreciated, it's worth a lot more money. And so we're using language that to our staff to say, hey, what words do you want to use on Monday to describe whether or not we're gaining traction? And my friendly scale, which a lot of people hate the scale. I always hated the scale when I was in seasons where I was gaining weight. And I didn't want to get on the scale because I knew it would be bad news. But the scale's like really indifferent, right? The scale doesn't care if you're gaining weight or losing weight. It just gives you a number. And so I was talking to our staff about this morning. It's like, hey, what numbers would be helpful for you to hear on Monday for you to be able to discern, like, are we winning? Are we gaining traction? If you look at Alluring Glass being an asset that you own, like how would you know that last week we actually improved upon that asset? The second thing I talked to our staff about is, like, you know, there's nobody in my company in any position in our company that's maxed out their profitability. So as Alluring, whatever position you're in, I talked to our staff about, if Alluring Glass is more profitable, then you have the opportunity to make more money in your job, right? In your position, nobody's maxed out their profitability. The third thing that I talked to our staff about is, as the organization continues to grow, as the enterprise grows, there's upward mobility for you. And so if there's different seats that you'd like to occupy in the business, as Alluring Glass grows, you have the opportunity to grow into those positions. So I use Brandon as an example, as our youngest employee at 18, I think he's 18, is like, Brandon, you know, we're trying to build this company that you could spend your entire career making as much money as you want to, have an asset that you own, making as much money as you'd like to make in each position, and then to have positions of upward mobility. And so on Monday, you know, again, what measurements, going back to my scale, what measurements on Monday, I don't know if I can turn that on real quick. What measurements on Monday would give you evidence that we're gaining traction? Like, how did we do last week? What's the measurement that would help you guys see that we're winning as far as building an asset that's more valuable? What would the metrics, what would the number be that you'd know we're winning, that, gosh, man, if we have this kind of quarter, I'm going to be able to make more money in my job? What metrics would be helpful for you on Monday to hear, you know, as the organization grows, I'm going to have upward mobility. I'm going to have an opportunity. Like one of my guys said, hey, as one of the regions of our company grows, I'd like to be developed into a project manager. And so he's currently in the field as a craftsman, but he has a vision for his future a year from now or whatever, is that he'd like to move, you know, in another position in the company. And so on Monday, he could actually be able to hear, like, okay, so the company's growing in the direction that I want the company to grow. I think, again, connecting the dots is what we're really talking about with our staff. And it's really important. Going back to my friends like that are leading businesses, we want to attract, train, and retain great talent. And these are some of the ingredients that we're testing, trying to implement to, in fact, attract great talent, train great talent, with the aspiring, thank you, Steve, to retain great talent.